So, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. This is fun. I like these. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Okay, you're looking at your hand. Why are you looking at your hand? Yes, when you recall those horrors events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. Wait. Is it the big burly Russian that is, like, that she snuck on board? Is that who helped her sneak aboard? And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observation on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas, regrettably, this specimen's marking do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victims? Oh, what the hell you got? Eyes, I said. No, don't look at me. No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer of this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you're trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's sloughed skin. What is that, though? Evidently, after the Sutherland crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin, no? I don't know what you're talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible to this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change every each time it slows its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found at the deepest depths of India. This is such a good addition to investigations. I love this. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. I need more water. Excuse me. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I've been appraised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. Ah. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be... Ah yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. I bet you it's to do with that bit of bell over there. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snakebite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There's no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incidents, you endeavored to hide everything, did you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid evidence that links to the victim's death in the traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed. You'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you summoned it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signals of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? He is. He is fantastic. It's not true. Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt my logic is infallible. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible. You solved the mystery. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Herlock Sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left arm, with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my methods, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madame. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah? It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it'd be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there's something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah? Yes, so I'm not sure if it would be possible to signal a snake by whistling. But madame, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Ah, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept at being as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snake, Mr. Sholmes. There's one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales of their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in this cabin. Then it should try harder! Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator in the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there's a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have been a part of this. Oh, he said. He gets so sad when he's told no. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down at your wrists again. What? You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not. I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you call those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. She doesn't have a pain expression on her face. Yes, that's true. It looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Oh wait, can I... Oh, I can't... Oh! Oh! Oh, Naruhodo-san, look! That looks very much like a That looks like a very painful wound. It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently, too. Well, whatever scratched her doesn't appear to have be around here.
Yes!
Yes, when you recall those horde events, your claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, a simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah! When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain, that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what was the nature of that intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? Oh, the Russian is her pet. Pet Russian. Everyone wants a pet Russian. We should follow her gaze now, Hoda-san. That's where we'll find the answer. What is... Oh, wait, it's Kitty! Kitty! Oh, that's... Oh, the bell's half the bell in the other room. Oh, dude. Look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true. But personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe better take a closer look at this. Little kitten.
Yes!
Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. How much more to guess she's hiding it on her person, like under her hair or something. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah! Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observation on the night in question tells of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's slowed skin. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Sholm's specialty. He's ever so clever forcing her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty. Or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Bup bup bup, bup bup bup, bup bup. What the hell? Is it a fucking whip? Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. Oh, it's a cat toy! The cat got into his room, and she was using the band to try and coax the cat back. And that looks like a handle at one end. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. Ha! That sounds positively adorable.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you're trying but failing to conceal is, a cat's toy. Precisely the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. Ah! And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night betrayed the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. Kya! A truly troublesome feline, young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You'll forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. Mine now. It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. Our beloved kitten. Solved! We have solved the kitten. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter. The grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which we have been appraised, it would appear that there are no visible signs of injury. Ah. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by terrible venom. What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There are no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right, but Mr. Sholmes seemed to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now.
Yes!
In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah, yes. I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed. The breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. He's not immortal. Sholmes. No, fucking think he is. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Yeah. That's how this chapter opened. Kazuma is sort of dead. And they think I did it. Because Ace Attorney. Yes, actually. Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose. It's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yeah, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe that Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this seduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene of crime that could explain what happened? An examination of...
Yes!
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, possibly identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results. The undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Miss Asogi's laced leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Sogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped. Please no. And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary gaze betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to this victim's death in that traveling case. I don't believe it. Cosmo-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But... and if this part of Mr. Sholm's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it? I'm sorry. I need to keep track of who's who. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. It's not the tiara. It's not the desk. It's not the case. I mean, I'll check the basket again. This is the waste paper basket. Perhaps First Class Cabin have them, but Miss Pavlova only started occupying the cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you. Well, alright.
Yes!
Wasn't in there before. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Ah! Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air impact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor of Mr. Asogi's cabin. And, as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no! So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? Kya! You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know. Is in that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Mr. Preble and the little glass bell, that would be... If you look at this photograph... Wait, hold on. Okay. If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has come has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Death by tripping over a cat. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast. She disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it? Yes. And I had read the, rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, voices. So at that point, you thought it safe to try and lure the kitten back by dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin. Darka always loved this toy. But it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Buria is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten was under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is insufferable, restless as... wow. That cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself, at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the next cabin to mine had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship? Oh, I didn't say? Snake is my friend. His name is Peroskov. What? What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when emergency alarms sound. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend? Without someone who understand? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake? Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Perosko does not have venom. He is harmless. Very long, but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny. It's venomless? Yes. Now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him, what, milk, I suppose? Ha! Like they say, milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Perosk eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses. Ah, oh, so is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course. How else can I get my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look on their eyes right now. Like look in their eyes right now. It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord. And it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Perosko is nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. We're not quite done. Miss Pavlova? I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yeah. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story. I'm sure of it, I just can't put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh? I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've been finding your shackles... You've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Bitch! especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were, Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours, was he not? Yes. Cosmo was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. We must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent! Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts in Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right here in Cosmo's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident.
Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is! The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ah! Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there, if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So Sato-san has noticed it too, then. Putting this message on the floor, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves there was no accident. This was no accident. In other words, That proves it was no accident. Like, I'm tempted to say the paper seal. That proves this was no accident. What? Hold on. That proves this was no accident. In other words... Oh. What is it asking me to present? Not that. What's from a broken result? Strong blow in the area. No obvious external injuries or traces of poison. Nothing report, nothing, 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 then blink. The only thing that comes to mind is the paper seal in comparing the handwriting.
Yes.
No? Then what we should be looking for is one of two things. The absence of something you expect to find in the scene of an accident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. Maybe crunches will help. All right. So something that should be there, or the absence of something that should. Okay. So I don't think it's the pin. It's not the seal. Some purple ink would appear to be written final ones. If it's something stupid like represent the photograph, I'm gonna be like actually really pissed. The headline reads: Revolutionary violent Bolshevik flees Russian via Shanghai. The headline reads: Renowned violent rebellion. Shanghai. He spotted puberty speckled band. Given the cause of death as a cervical spine injury. There were no traces of external injury or poison. Wait. If he wanged his head...
Yes.
No, it's not that either? What the fuck am I missing? Ah. It better not be me having to show the fucking photograph again, though. I'm legit like... Oh, what the fuck? It's not that. It's not the medical report. Okay. It's not the pin. It's not the medical report. It's... Whoa. So I showed that. Does it want the mark on the floor? Small piece of a small glass object and what looks to be a scuff mark. Wait, could it be that the other half of the bell should have been in there but wasn't?
Yes.
That's it. Okay, good. Okay. Fuck. This broken piece of glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass spell the kitten had around his neck. You already know all about that. Pin to neck? No, never mind, no blood on it. Wait, no, it's still... Oh, no, you can see that the latch is broken. I'm just dumb. I ignored that because I figured the other half was still attached to the collar. But you can see, like, the hook part of it is not. Okay, that's on me. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah! Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that waste paper basket? Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Sogi died last night in this cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Kya! Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Sogi's... You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And only one other person in the cabin was young student. Dead. Was you.
Yes.
It's true. I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut in inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I could have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Oh! Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying... The person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen on through the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died. But why wouldn't that person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was almost going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely have cast any light on the floor there. Little wonder then that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you?